Good morning. Today we look at three more of the Psalms, 13, 14, and 15. And chapter 13, or Psalm 13, begins with, how long? 4 different times in the first 2 verses. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide from me? How long must I bear pain in my soul? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? You know, and again, it's that, where are you? How long? Just how long is it going to be? Are you ever going to hear me? You know, and again, I mean, it's that plea we feel. You know, I mean, why can it take so long? It's just, you know, there are things, you know, that we call, we need, and we request, and it's just, I've got something that got delivered here the other day that I've been waiting for over a year for, and you know, it's just, are you ever going to get it? You know, and yeah, sooner or later it does come. But you know, we so often feel like that, not just with God, but with other people in our lives, and we're just with everyday going-ons. You know, how long? And it's just like this heat we've been having here, you know, in the upper Midwest, you know, and you know, we've had several days of really, really warm, humid days, and it's how long will this heat wave last? And it's just like in the winter, how long will this, you know, cold last? And how long, you know, if the power happens to go, how long is that going to be? You know, we're that instant gratification, and we're worse. You know, we're so bad at instant gratification. You know, we can pick up our phone, or we can pick up our whatever, and we can order something and have it within, you know, not very long a time. And you know, we can go to the grocery store or the hardware store, and you know, there it is. We don't have to wait. But you know, it's, you know, I think about, you know, for, you know, in the past, you know, waiting, and I think about, especially like with fresh fruit. You know, you go into these stores now and there's all kinds of fruit. And I remember when I was growing up, you know, a lot of years ago, that you know, you only got certain fruits at certain times of the year, and it was always that eager anticipation of when it's going to come, you know, how long. But, you know, but it's just that, again, that wondering of how long. And then in verse 3, you know, it says, consider and answer, give light to my eyes, or I will sleep the sleep of death. And in Psalm 38 also, you know, there's that 38 verse 10, my heart throbs, as for the light of my eyes, it has gone out. You know, and that's, you are the light of my life, you know, light of my eyes. You know, we use that expression when someone is special to us or brings us joy. You know, and I think about it, you know, especially as a grandparent, you know, thinking about a grandchild, or a parent as a child, you know, that just, you know, brings light, brings life, brings hope, you know, and if that light goes out, you know, it's just, it's hard, you know, and so we have that light, you know, and it's, give light to my eyes. Help me see, Lord, that you are here, that you do hear me, that you haven't abandoned me, and all of that. And then it's, you know, I trusted in your steadfast, you know, kind of a past tense, I trusted, but then my heart shall rejoice, which is a future. So we go from I trusted, and in the past, and in the future, you know, my heart shall rejoice, and I will sing. And again, that I will sing could be, you know, this very next instant, or again in the future. I will sing because you have dealt bountifully with me. So, you know, we grow up believing and trusting, and we're taught that, you know, as youth, hopefully. And so we trusted, and then I shall rejoice. And we have that all working together with that promise of eternal salvation, you know, that, you know, this life is temporary, the how long of all of that, and it's just, you know, it's another one of those things that I remember being with a family as the grandpa, the patriarch, was dying, and 3 different times he kind of woke up and says, what's taken so long? You know, how long? You know, he was ready to go, and it's just, you know, but there's, God is there, and you know that we will rejoice with God. Psalm 14, is very identical, or nearly identical, to Psalm 53. Just a few words that change, and they both start with, "Fools say in the heart, there is no God," or "there is no Yahweh, there is no Lord," and when I read that, there's an old joke of an atheist saying to Judge, "Well, we don't have an atheist day," and he says, "Yeah, there is. It's April Fool's Day." And so fools say in their heart, and we do. We have. I've never called somebody a fool that doesn't believe in God, but that's kind of what I think. I've never said that to them, but how can you look around and see and just think, this all just happened, But anyway, fools say in their heart, there is no God. They're corrupt. And then verse 2, the Lord looks down from heaven to see if there are any who are wise that do seek after God. He's looking through all of these unfaithful people for the faithful ones. And it's, Jesus says that, in the Gospels too, that those who are faithful will have eternal rest. And those who are not faithful, there will be weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, so fools say there is no God, there is no future, there is no permanent existence of our spirits, in that presence of God. These unfaithful have gone astray, and then there are none that do good. No, not one. And again, think of the despair of that not one person does good. Not one person believes in God. I mean, this he's pretty low in where he's feeling, And it's, have they no knowledge, all these evildoers, and do they not call upon the Lord? And then verse 7, the last verse of Psalm 14 is a song of hope, Oh, that deliverance would come from Zion, from heaven, from God. That when the Lord restores the fortunes of the people, Jacob will rejoice, Israel will be glad, And so we have, Jacob, Israel, these ancestors, the ones, that are the Israelite nation is named after, that God has chosen and taken to be his people, that God will indeed arise and lift them back up again. Psalm 15, again, Psalm of David. Most of these that we've read so far have been of David. And he asks the question, O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy hill? And it's, who's going to end up, in heaven for eternity and eternity. But also a little bit more of, contemporary today, who is welcome in the presence? Those who walk blamelessly and do upright. So he asks the question in verse 1, and in verse 2, he gives the answer, David does. Who may dwell in the holy hill? Those who walk blamelessly and do right. Those who speak truth. Those who do not slander with their tongue. Those who do not do evil to their friends. But those who honor the Lord. Those who stand by their oath. Those who do not charge interest. And that was, the Israelites were not to charge interest on loans to another Israelite. And they were not to take bribes against those who are innocent. So, he asks the question, who can live in the presence of God? Well, not those who do the sins, but those who act uprightly. And this is, this is who we are to be. And those who act uprightly, the psalmist ends with this psalm with, those who do these things shall never be moved. When you act uprightly, when you do what God would have you do, when you love your neighbor as yourself, when you love your Lord your God with heart, soul, strength, and mind, and when you do those things, you cannot be removed from the presence of God.